coming up here, her formation as a sister started in France and took her to Burkina Faso, Rome, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and back to Senegal, where she is from. Sister Anne-Béatrice Faye and I are going to have a conversation en français, and welcome. As a reminder, Channel 3 in English, 4 French, 5 German, and 6 Italian. Bonjour, Sœur Béatrice.
Bonjour,
comment ça va?
Magali, je vais bien. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everybody.
Merci d'être là, merci d'être avec nous. Vous avez fait un long voyage pour venir nous retrouver ici à Rome, une ville que vous connaissez déjà, n'est-ce pas?
Oui.
Donc nous parlons un petit peu du rôle des femmes et en particulier des religieuses actuellement dans l'Église. Et parlez-moi d'abord un petit peu de votre parcours et un peu de votre point de vue sur votre rôle en tant que sœur. Ça fait quoi, 35 ans que vous êtes religieuse. Donc, dites-moi un petit peu, parlez-moi un peu de votre parcours d'abord.
Alors, mon parcours est très simple. Il y a d'abord la formation initiale, comme chaque candidate à la vie religieuse commence par là, ce qu'on appelle une formation initiale. J'ai fait ça en France, 3 ans. Et ensuite, il y a toute la formation du juniorat que j'ai eu à faire au Sénégal, avec une mission bien précise. Et c'est à ce niveau-là que s'est dessinée un peu ma mission d'éducatrice. J'ai évolué dans des institutions scolaires pour l'éducation des jeunes filles et garçons. Et donc ça, c'est un parcours de formation, de mission. Et ma première mission a été au Congo. Et j'ai défini ça un peu comme... je suis sortie d'un nid où je vivais, bien au chaud.
Vous étiez un peu couvée.
Oui. Et je me suis retrouvée au Congo en mission dans une nouvelle fondation. Pourquoi je fais cette différence? Parce que c'était juste au moment où le pays entrait dans la démocratisation. Donc la fin de Mobutu, la fin du Zaïre, et on est passé au Congo RDC. Donc avec toute la violence et tout ce qu'on a connu à cette période-là, ça a été difficile pour moi. Donc ça a été un moment très important. Et je dis que ce temps que j'ai passé là-bas m'a façonné comme consacré dans une vision bien définie.
Okay, that's fine. So, did you find yourself seeing the world with new eyes, mainly due to the political conflicts in a country like Congo? But you found yourself as well to follow the regulations of the Catholic Church. As a woman, how do you see your position, your role as an African woman and a religious woman at the same time in Africa? During all my missions, I have lived in Senegal, in which the majority of the population was Muslim, you know. Only 5% of them can be divided, you know, among Christians and animists, the traditional Senegal religion. Why did I make this choice? Because the context of religious life in this country, Senegal, is clearly different. If you check the context of Burkina Faso or Congo, where I lived. So, which is the difference basically? In Senegal, we lead a religious life in respect of what, you know, church dictates, in harmony. Since as a minority we are very united in the mission and in handling the conflicts. Hence, among ourselves, as religious people and the church, there is a good, you know, feeling, a good relationship, since we have to mutually help each other as the mission we carry out for the Muslim population is performed. And so they need us, our mission, since every school, every center is able to offer a quality service whose Muslim people, you know, appreciate. As far as my experience in Congo is concerned, as religious woman, my training brought me there, my relationship with church itself. It was more like an institutional relationship. We might say that, I was called to share my knowledge, my expertise with colleagues coming from every country of the world, with priests, Muslim men. And yet, we were equals. I clearly remember when we used to work in a group with all women, and often they would tell me, "Are you tired?" And I answered, "No, I'm not tired at all." And maybe they were the tired ones. So maybe it was just a way to say that you were the tired ones because you're women. Yeah, that was the main cause which convinced me to fight. To never have a passive, attitude towards them. And to fight, for the struggle of men and women alike, with no distinction whatsoever. You're saying that, women in Africa are the color, the back of the church. Can you please give us something more on this definition? It's not me who said that. I would like to confess you that in 2009, when the African Synod took place, just imagine all the African bishops that, like a unanimity thing, I attended it, of course, and so I could really bear the testimony of this. All the men officially recognized the women's role inside the church. They were the very ones who defined women as a back of the church itself. That is the reason why you don't need science to be fully aware of that, to acknowledge that. During the synod, a sister, just had her say. Because, of course, as women, we don't have, a representational vote in the synod. A superior mother took the word and had a speech, and she spoke, speaking to the bishops, and the Pope was already there. And I'm asking you tonight, before you go to bed, please think carefully and close your eyes and imagine African church with no woman inside. To me, the experience I had showed me that the woman is really the back of the African mission. Everywhere you can find women in the evangelization, just outside the congregation. Women are always active inside the church's dynamics. That is why the bishops recognized, even in considering all the sufferings, women endured, the important fundamental role of woman, without which the church would nowhere exist. Since it is fundamental, I really witnessed in my life, in my mission. We live it constantly on a daily basis, facing our mother superiors, our sisters. And yet, a thing is, to acknowledge it, but what I could really, acknowledge and witness myself in the very deeds carried out to have, advance and progress, well, first of all, we were recognized. Secondly, verifying in the real tasks all the results in real time. Another thing on which the bishops lingered, it was that, and when I talk about bishops, this is really fundamental, pay attention to that. When we observe the hierarchy of the church, and only with the proof, with the evidence, you can really, acknowledge that is really important to me. I would like to say, as far as the ability and reality are concerned, there was a previous statement, a very clear and strong message, concerning the training of women, and creating good institutions bearing, the responsibility of women in Africa. This is fundamental, because if we really want to free them, free African women, we need to educate them, to have a training for them. And I humbly say that due to my experience, I had the opportunity to meet a few sisters, trained and educated. I lived in a foundation where there were training courses, and I realized, for example, that in 6 years' time, 6 years later, meeting again my students, my former students, grown up and aware of what was happening, in spite of the fact it was like a basic knowledge, that was really rewarding and satisfying for me. That is the reason why we need to create the centers of training for women in Africa. That's the only way to free them, to set them free. So after theory, we have to move to the practice. Church acts in this way about, the training. And so what does worry you in Africa? This is not about a concern, a particular concern. I think everybody is preoccupied and concerned about that. My idea of clericalism, it's mainly related to power, in my humble opinion. And as for the Africa, me and all my sisters and priests, deeply involved in that, I just tell them, please act on the forefront. Will they do it? Well, I think so. I think so. If we keep insisting on this issue, if we keep talking to women, if we keep, having this integration in a mission with always, touching people's lives, it's just about, point of view fact. I've always wondered, and I always said that my mission is to help other people. Very often there is too much holiness of our ministry, which kind of erases what is really holy and sacred, in my opinion. And to me, holiness is really paramount. I do respect it. But all the teachings, the signals, are even more important. Sometimes you can't see them, but they're always there, and they matter. So what does, priesthood mean in Africa? Is this a signal which it works as a guide, or shows only the bare necessities, or something simply holy we use? This is the problem, I think. Once we acquire and know this issue, it is not only a mere service aiming at the sake of the service itself, but it is something which we can value and estimate indeed. That is why I call it clericalism. This doesn't concern me, but as far as I'm concerned, I would like to pay more attention to these signals. And I would like to remind all the clergy itself that this is not the first woman who is being tired. We have to find again the service mean, the purpose. Thank you wholeheartedly, Sister Beatrice, for being here, for this incredibly satisfying conversation. Thanks to you all for having me. I do think that this is the first time for me. I'm really touched, speechless, to see all these people here gathered today, and you're paying a lot of attention to that. And at first I wasn't understanding why so many sisters with us in this organization. Now I do understand. Thank you so much. Very, very kind of yours.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.